Hey guys, it's Dan from JP Coins and Collectibles. Here's our business card, just in case you want to get a hold of us. It's sales@jpcoins.com. Just wanted to go over this very unique firearm we had come in. This originally was an 1870's double barrel shotgun. It's got what's called lamination. They made the barrels out of Damascus steel at the time, which was basically a rolled steel, and if you didn't reinforce the chamber when you shot it, it would unravel and explode in your face. That's why you can't shoot modern barrels made out of Damascus steel or shoot antique barrels in modern ammunition because they will explode. But this actually started out as a black powder percussion cap. You can see that's where the percussion caps went. If you look at it, they actually pried open the percussion caps and added these firing pins. It's got two triggers, two hammers. Obviously it's been cut down quite a bit, but the most unique thing is on this side, on one side you have a 28 gauge shotgun barrel, but on the other side you have a 3840 rifle barrel, and it is rifled. You can see the rifling there. Then obviously the 28 gauge is smooth bore. The original barrels they pressed out and they replaced it with these barrels. The octagonal Winchester 3840 barrel is from, I think, around 1897, and it is marked VP, which is violent proof, meaning they shot a double load through it to proof it. The other one is a unmarked 28 gauge. It's really a unique gun. The idea was that if you were driving a Stagecoach, obviously your passenger would have a shotgun, which is why when you call shotgun, that's what the passenger seat is. But the driver would have to be able to do something one-handed while he was driving because he still had to steer the horses. So the idea of this was that, you know, obviously if you're a farm boy, you could pull both triggers, both hammers back and choose which trigger you wanted to shoot with and not have to recock the gun and not have to stop driving your horses. The other nice thing about it, the reason why it has the rifle barrel on it, is that obviously if you're in the Old West to get food, you might have to be hunting. So whether or not you ran into fowl or something like a rabbit, you could take both types of game. And obviously it's been cut down. This gun started out as what's called the interchangeable. It's written there, the interchangeable. That was the first hardware store type gun that you could change the parts on, so you could swap out barrels. If you had something go wrong, you could swap it out. They retained the lamination, and they actually stippled it, which is pretty, adds a little bit of class to it. But it's, one of the most Madmax looking guns we've ever had. It's kind of close to a felony, but it's not. It shoots 3840 and 28 gauge. Those are both not common rounds. They're not readily available in my area. The gun is from 1870. The rifling isn't great on the rifle round because the black powder obviously was corrosive. So NFA-wise, it would be deemed an antique collectible. Obviously, nobody's going to use a modified percussion cap black powder shotgun in some sort of mass shooting. But to take it down, it's very easy. Obviously, the person that made it, they made it very well. Even though it doesn't look super awesome, it closes up tight. The action works fantastic. Everything on it is really great. And then to take it down, you just open it up, and it comes off. So this obviously is the part that the government considers a gun. On this, there are proof marks. There is a 1 and a 3. There's an AP with a star over it, and then there's a column. Belgians started using the column right around 1870, and right around 1880 they started requiring that they be proof marked, the receivers. Obviously, this receiver is not proof marked. That means that it's pre-1880, and having the column means that it's post-1870. And obviously, laminated barrels, those went away pretty quick. Once you got into smokeless powder, they didn't use laminated barrels anymore because they weren't strong enough. But this one, you can see on the Winchester barrel, it's marked with a star, and it's marked with a VP. The VP marking means violent proof, like I said, so it should be able to fire. We're going to try firing it a couple times. The rifling is intact, but the lands are good, but the grooves are very corroded. So it may not fire. We're not sure. But to give you an idea of the ammunition, obviously 28 gauge is not common. In my area, you can't buy it, so you have to buy it online. And it's just a little bit bigger than a 410. As you can see, I've been partial loading several rounds so that when we do try to fire it, we can start out low and move up to higher charges. And those are just sealed with aluminum tape, just keep everything in there. And then the 3840, also not common, you're not going to find this at Walmart. It's a necked down 40 caliber casing with a 38 caliber bullet. And these were very popular in the West in both revolvers and lever type guns. The barrels aren't marked, so pretty much had to just take some measurements with the calipers and match the dimensions to what type of round it is. And it's got a little ejector that operates off of this little push deal. So when you open it up, it ejects the 2 rounds, and then you put your new 2 rounds in it. The receiver, obviously both of them lock back. If you put your finger over the firing pins, they sting just like a modern firing pin when it hits you. They are just drifting firing pins, so obviously you wouldn't want to drop this gun. It's not drop safe. The stock, you know, the handle, it's fairly nice. There's a little bit of wood missing there, and there's a little tiny piece of wood missing there where there's a part someone wanted to get to, so they chipped off that wood. The hammers are held on by one side's a screw and the other side is a chunk of lead with a brass washer. And then to fire them, obviously you just pull whichever hammer you're looking for and they fire. It's really probably the most unique gun we've had. I've seen some online without the lamination that are just cut down shotguns that weren't black powder and weren't percussion. This one, like I said, was a Stagecoach gun. It spent about 100 years with a family in northern Wisconsin, and I have quite a few pickers through the shop, and one of them was lucky enough to grab it and brought it into me. Before that, obviously, it kind of had like a Wells Fargo style life where it was going back and forth. Their late family member worked for the bank, one of the banks that ran carts back and forth. So this was his pride and joy and what he carried for protection when he was, you know, running a cart full of silver across the U.S. So it's got quite a bit of history to it. Like I said, it does look kind of like an end-of-days gun with you're just working with what you have. But I mean, at the time, if you were figuring, you know, 1903 is when the 28 gauge came out. So if you're talking 1903, you're running back and forth. It was still quite dangerous in the days. And to put it back together, it is, I mean, it couldn't be easier. I can even probably do it one-handed here. The video. Yeah, that goes like that. The little guy goes here and closes up. All that stuff that you see there, that's the leading that they used to they kind of soldered everything together with lead. And then they added a central sight. You can see right here is where the original shotgun sight was. The rifle one is cut down where the original sight would have been. and then they added this sight in the middle. It's really quite a unique gun. Everybody that sees it, it just takes their breath away. I mean, when you look at it, it brings a smile to their face. Even not gun people just see it and go, oh my gosh. It is heavy. It weighs about the same as, we also have a trench gun that's 28 inches long with an 18.5-inch barrel. And this weighs the same as that. So it is, I mean, you can take a look at the barrels. There's quite a bit of extra metal on both these barrels, just for strength at the time. These are smokeless cartridge barrels. They're supposed to be. But the ammunition that we got, this is 700 feet per second, and this is 180 grain, 3840. They are made for cowboy shooting. They're supposed to be black powder equivalents for old guns. I've got several guys that shoot them through 1850s era revolvers and such. So we're gonna give it a try. We're gonna do some remote shooting with a string. Obviously, we have a little thing set up, and then the 28 gauge. It's a 3/4 ounce, and it's 1,300 feet. So not anywhere near the top strength. You can get some slugs and such that are quite a bit higher pressure. But as for, you know, a neat little Stagecoach gun, it is probably my favorite gun. We are selling it, so if you're interested, sales@jpcoins.com is the email. I can send you pics, I can send you videos. We're going to post a video of it shooting, which is going to be pretty fun. And yeah, if you're interested in it, obviously it's the National Firearms Act doesn't consider it a gun, and the ATF also doesn't consider it a gun because it's made before 1889 or 1899. So yeah, if you're interested, let us know. Obviously it can be shipped. You know, you can just ship it UPS to the doorstep. It's kind of like a loaf of bread. Walmart could sell these if they wanted to, just because of the age. And it is kind of neat. There's a lot of brass hardware, and then there's a lot of copper putting this thing together, which really, you know, if you think about copper nails, those aren't really a thing anymore. And then there's a lot of lead rivets where they put in a lead slug and hammered it down. And then there's a lot of steel hardware as well. But yeah, the interchangeable. And it started out as a 12 gauge, but it had very thin barrels. So the guy that modified it out, you know, he was kind of smart to do that, because if he tried shooting someone, I mean, after a couple years, those barrels just aren't shootable anymore. So yeah, take a look over the video, keep an eye out for when we're shooting it, and drop us a message if you're interested in it at all. And yeah, we'll see you then. Bye.